Welcome to Karma's Harvest. What if the very technology you used to ruin a man's life became the wall that blocked your own salvation? One man thought he could play God with a satellite signal until the signal went silent. When he needed it most, have you ever wondered if the universe keeps a digital receipt of our sins? For Marcus Thorne, a man who believed money could bypass any moral code, the answer arrived in the coldest way possible. Marcus was a man who didn't just want to win, he wanted to win, at the expense of those he deemed lesser. He drove a custom-tailored obsidian black luxury SUV, a vehicle he valued more than the people he shared the road with. But Marcus had a dark hobby. He found a loophole in the insurance market, a way to earn six figures by staging accidents that looked like driver error. His victim of choice? Elias, a soft-spoken father working 3 jobs, including late-night designated driving just to keep his daughter in a decent school. On a rainy Tuesday, Marcus hired Elias to drive him home. But Marcus wasn't just sitting in the back seat. He was leaning over a hidden device in his lap, a sophisticated GPS jammer and signal spoofer he'd bought on the dark web. As Elias followed the navigation toward a narrow bridge, Marcus flicked a switch. The GPS map on the dashboard suddenly lagged, then jumped, showing a clear path where there was actually a steep construction drop-off. "Turn left now," the GPS commanded, and Marcus echoed the order with a sharp, "Are you blind?" "The map says left." Panicked and exhausted, Elias turned. The SUV plummeted into a shallow ditch, the impact jarring, but calculated by Marcus to be safe for him, yet devastating for the vehicle's frame. Marcus walked away with a massive whiplash settlement and a brand-new car. Elias, however, walked away with a revoked commercial license, a mountain of debt he couldn't explain, and the crushing guilt of a mistake he knew deep down he hadn't actually made. Marcus laughed as he watched Elias trudge away from the courthouse months later, his life in ruins. Marcus felt invincible, protected by his wealth and his clever gadgets. But the harvest is patient, and the seeds Marcus sowed were already beginning to sprout. Fast forward to a lonely Saturday night, Marcus was in his sprawling high-tech mansion, a house built on a hill, isolated and heavily shielded against electronic interference to ensure his privacy. Suddenly, a searing pain gripped his chest. A massive heart attack! Gasping for air, Marcus managed to trigger the emergency SOS on his phone and his smart home system. "Help is on the way," the automated voice chirped. But outside, something strange was happening. A rare atmospheric anomaly combined with the lingering interference from the very signal-masking equipment Marcus had installed to hide his shady digital dealings, created a GPS black hole around his estate. 3 ambulances were dispatched. 3 drivers stared at their screens in confusion as their maps spun wildly, placing Marcus's house 3 blocks away in the middle of a lake or miles into the forest. "We have the address, but the signal keeps shifting," the paramedics shouted over the radio. They were circling his neighborhood, sirens wailing, close enough for Marcus to see their flashing lights through his window. Yet they were effectively invisible to each other. Every time they tried to lock onto his location, the digital ghost Marcus had created for his insurance scams seemed to haunt the airwaves, redirecting them into dead ends and circular routes. Marcus lay on his designer rug, clutching his chest, watching the red and blue lights pass by his gate over and over again. He tried to shout, but his voice was a whisper. He realized then that the perfect digital distortion he once used to ruin Elias was now the very thing keeping his rescuers at bay. He was a man dying, in the center of a map that refused to acknowledge he existed. The silence of the satellites was his final judgment. But is this where Marcus Thorne's story ends? Or is there a final twist waiting in the shadows of the hospital corridor? You won't believe who was behind the wheel of the only vehicle that finally broke through the digital fog. The harvest is far from over. Make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on, because part 2 is coming sooner than you think. You don't want to miss the moment the debt is finally paid in full,